As the convener of the 8th World Conference on Qualitative Research, this is the 2024 leg, and I'm not going to indicate where else it is taking place today because that part will be covered by our chairperson of the local organizing committee of WCGR. Excuse me about acronyms, it's the fever of South Africa, but at least I did say it in full earlier on. And I would wish to request that we try and usher in all the guests that are arriving because our delay in starting impacts on the entire program of the day and the slots that are given to people in terms of their own presentations and us moving to the breakaway rooms. I am so thrilled to share with you that it is going to be such an exciting historical event that the entire continent would honor us for having achieved this milestone of bringing it for the first time to the continent Africa. Having said so, I wish to bring in a guest from the hotel just to share with us what we need to do in case of any unexpected incident. Not that any will happen, I can assure you we've prayed a lot. Can I therefore request our representative of Birchwood before we proceed?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Serpentine. I'm the Health and Safety Manager for Birchwood Hotel. First of all, I'd like to welcome you all to Birchwood Hotel in OR Tambo Conference Center today. We hope you have a fantastic time with us. I know that you're running on a tight schedule. My health and safety briefing takes about 45 minutes. It's about 40 minutes for me to try and explain to you what stage of load shedding we're on. The other 5 minutes is the health and safety background of the establishment. So to start off with, all our venues are non-smoking venues. If you need to enjoy a cigarette, please make your way out to the doors at the back, through the OR Tambo reception area into the courtyard outside, where there are designated smoking areas for you to enjoy. Our toilets are located in OR Tambo Center. If you exit the doors at the back, you turn to your right, and the toilets will be on the left-hand side where we have male, female, and disabled toilets on the left-hand side of the reception area. The coffee stations are located in the OR Tambo foyer, just outside where you can enjoy your coffee. We don't have any planned fire drills for today. So if you do hear a fire alarm going off, please make your way to the nearest exit. I have 2 exits at the back and 1 exit over here in the front of the venue. Our assistants or our staff will gladly direct you to the nearest evacuation point. The closest one here for OR Tambo, I have 2, is if you go out of OR Tambo reception, you turn to your right down the driveway and into the service area at the back. You'll see there's a gate there. Well, that's one of our emergency evacuated points. And the other one is if you go through our main reception into the parking lot, the other emergency evacuation point is located over there. We do have free and uncapped Wi-Fi here at Birchwood. You can just sign on with your devices onto Birchwood Guest Access. There is no password and it is free and pretty fast. With regards to load shedding, we are on stage 2 at the moment. We are scheduled for 10 o'clock today until 12. The nice thing with Birchwood is anything below stage 4, they seem to forget to switch off. So we shouldn't have load shedding. But if we do, I do have 9 generators around the property. We will have a total collapse in power for about anything between 20 seconds and 2 minutes for the generator to start up automatically and the changeover to take place. Once council has restored power again, there will be a total blackout of power once again, also anything between 20 seconds and 2 minutes for the changeover to take place again. All right, thanks very much, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
We are trying to catch up with time as part of avoiding a situation where our overlaps let us lose some of our speakers. And we don't want that to happen because for us, this event really transcends academic boundaries as we celebrate diversity. That's why we've got people from the various countries. And as we gather here now, we will be allowing our chairperson of the local organizing committee to actually explain exactly the purpose of this gathering, as well as what we wish to achieve at the end. There is a key stakeholder that I did not acknowledge by singling out. That will be our representatives from the various media houses. We greet you and you are also welcome. We acknowledge your presence here. Thank you so much. Professor King Costa will be the one that will be taking the stage now. Thank you. I also need to acknowledge that as part of the program, we've got our former Deputy President, Mama Mlambo Ncuka, and I wish to also greet and acknowledge her in absentia, but she's going to be part of the program on the later days. Thank you. May I request that our delegates join us as we honor what is our culture as the country and be led on our national anthem. And after the national anthem, we would also request that we be led on the AU anthem as well. Maybe this time be taken to be that of you making yourselves comfortable on your seats. Honorable Premier, we greet you and we acknowledge your presence. Thank you. May proceed.
Greetings, esteemed scholars, lovers of knowledge, creators of knowledge, thinkers, and those that are interested to deal and dabble with philosophical issues that underpin complex problems that we face in our nation, in Africa, and in the world. I thank you, Premier, the first citizen of Gauteng, for being here. I recognize all dignitaries that are in here, including the DG of the Office of the Premier, head of departments that are here, our partners, capacitation partner that has made sure that this happens, Sci-Bono Discovery Center, our platinum sponsor, Matthew Goniwe School of Governance and Leadership, our partners such as universities, Sefako Makgatho University of Health Sciences, and Da Vinci Business School, Bongani Rainmaker Logistics. Thank you for making sure that this happens. In this gathering, we have scholars from over 40 countries that are attending either here or in Europe, in the Atlantic island of the Azores, that is in the country of Portugal. As I speak and address you, there is actually a conference that is happening right under the same brand, the 8th World Conference on Qualitative Research. We are also joined by scholars online. I greet you. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not take so much time because I don't want to take more of our Premier's address. We want to thank the government of Gauteng for the support they've shown, for the love and passion and leadership in showing that scholarship and thinking underpin practice, underpin policy making. And would like to allow more time to hear our first citizen addressing that. But I am reminded, scholars, that when we talk about qualitative research, there is a lot of dichotomy that is known between qualitative and quantitative. But we addressed it as well as qualitative and mixed methods to deal with the issues that numbers are always going to be inherent in whatever we're doing in qualitative research. So I am declaring and debunking in this conference that numbers are inherent and foundational. We already can talk about this conference by the number of people attending. We can talk about this conference by the time it takes, or even the time that I'm taking to talk to you. I am also reminded, colleagues, that it is only through qualitative research that multiple perspectives, multiple views, cultures, and recognition of a tapestry of diversity. In South Africa, it is characterized by more than 11 languages, but we're already having a diversity of about 11 official languages, but we've got far more than that in terms of tribes that we have. I'm also reminded that there are different perspectives as well, including religion, including culture, including the lens through which we see life. I am reminded, as I'm about to go off stage and welcoming you, that there were other researchers or knowledge lovers, very inquisitive, known in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, chapter number 11, where inquiry and the state of being inquisitive made people to try to understand the world, the setting, their environment, and even the external environment. And they did that by telling themselves that let them try to build a tower that will expose them to issues out there. And this multiple perspective happened there. We understand that they were given different languages. So in this conference, we believe that a language is a lens through which your thinking is underpinned. If you are African, you think like an African. And here we think like Africans. That is why in this conference, the concept of Southern epistemologies, we are literally driving it, promoting it, and understanding that as Africans, we need to look around. As Africans find means and solutions from around us. My epistemological point is based on the work of Plato. Had Plato not popularized Socrates, we would not have known about him. Researchers today, they use Socratic questions, and we see that much both in qualitative and quantitative research. That is why in the concept of qualitative research, as we focus mainly on Southern epistemologies such as Ubuntu, Butu, I am challenging researchers to look around where they come from. That is why you'll see that I also have a representation of my culture as an African. But above all, I want to tell you that I had a grandmother, and her name was Nkosazana. And the Basotho people, which is one of the tribes, could not pronounce Nkosazana, and they would say Khosana. And that principle, Khosana, is who I am. It's inherent in Ubuntu. It's inherent in empathy. And wherever I talk, I don't forget to talk about my grandmother. Had she not been there, I would not have tenacity, and I would not have become who I am, because every day we are becoming. That is the essence of qualitative research. Look around in your neighborhood and start to follow Plato. Popularize epistemologies around you. Use them, write about them, publish them, and make sure that you can help policymakers and practitioners to resolve problems that we face. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free. This is South Africa. You are welcome in this conference, these 3 days. It is packed with a number of things. In your goodie bag that you have, there is a yellow t-shirt, and yellow is about possibilities. It's about sunshine. It's about the people of the sun. This is us as Africans. You've got a diary, you've got a booklet that will give you all information about this conference. And I want to say welcome. Welcome our guests from Brazil. Welcome our guests from Eswatini. Welcome our guests from Zimbabwe. Welcome our guests from Lesotho. Welcome our guests from Zambia. Welcome our guests from the Philippines. Welcome our guests from the USA. Welcome our guests from Poland. Welcome our guests from India. It is a fully packed conference. I welcome you. And according to the powers bestowed upon me as the chairperson of this conference, I declare it opened. Thank you, Program Director. Yes, yes, yes. Angola, everywhere, Africa, the diaspora is here.
Without taking too much time, in consideration of the fact that we are now going to be addressed by the head of the province, I am going to call upon a chairman of the board of one of our key partners as WCGR, and that is Mr. Abi Vetboy, the chairman of Sci-Bono Discovery Center, who will be introducing our premier. Over to you, Dr. Vetboy.
Good morning. Molweni, dumelang. My task is very easy. And I've already been informed that we're running out of time. So I'm just gonna be brief in my task that I've been given. Although the person that I am introducing to you is a person that is well known within our country. It's a person here that has carved his teeth in many departments in our country and is one of the few hard-working leaders within our government. And I am here to introduce to you who is the premier, the person that I'm going to introduce of our province here in Gauteng. And ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our premier, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, to come and address this conference. Over to you, Premier.
Thanks so much, Slat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Chair, because the last time you introduced me, it sounded as if it's an obituary, and I was very worried that I've reached that day that I don't want to arrive at. So thank you so much. I want to start by appreciating the program directors that are here. Thank you so much for welcoming us. We truly appreciate that. I want to take this opportunity to recognize Professor King Costa, recognize the chairperson of Sci-Bono, who've just introduced me, the chairman of the local organizing committee of the 8th World Conference of Qualitative Research, members of the local organizing committee, led here by our Prof. Mfanele Nsobi and Dr. Nandi. Further recognize the representative from partners that are here, Matthew Koniwe, Sci-Bono, and various institutions of higher learning that are here. But a warm welcome to our international guests, especially those that are coming from our continent and those that are joining us through various online platforms. Dear delegates, thank you once more for extending your warm invite to us to come and address you and welcome you in our province. Our province, a province of almost 15 million official residents, and I'll emphasize the point, official residents, that are 15 million. And we really believe that we are hovering over 32 million residents in our province. There is a debate that is currently taking place, Professor Nsobi, in the political spectrum with all the premiers of our country, where they're urging and asking us that let's urge Stats SA in South Africa to conduct their counting during December, because during December, that's where we'll know the exact figures of each and every province. Because all the residents will be where they are, and within that context, we'll be in a position to understand. I welcome you, quite excited as the head of government of this province. Excited that because you are researchers, it simply means that in this particular room, you carry the aspiration of the future. You carry the aspiration to reposition and represent us appropriately in ensuring that not only our province, but our country and the continent by extension is better positioned to respond to the challenges that we are facing currently. We come to you to wish you well that in the next 3 days, you will be innovative, creative, you will be research-driven in providing answers that may assist us to resolve the 3 key challenges that we are facing as a province and by extension as a country. The first one is to ensure that the economy of our province continues to be the biggest economy in our country, but most importantly, continues to influence the economy of other countries within our continent and globally. Secondly, we admit we are confronted by challenges of human settlements, where majority of our CBDs and majority of our communities can no longer welcome or accommodate more people that wants to come and reside in our province. Thirdly, we'll be the first one to admit and accept that we are facing a huge challenge of crime, and we need innovative ideas to push back the frontiers of crime in our province. You will see with the three issues that I've just flagged, that if you can package them correctly through research, through innovative measures and methods, we'll be in a position to have a country that will continue to be beautiful. We reaffirm our belief that the economic structure of our country is correct. We reaffirm our belief that the resources that we have as a country are enough to ensure that no one goes to bed with an empty stomach. We reaffirm our belief that our legislative framework is so strong that it can propel any form of any economy to its higher heights. We further reaffirm our belief that if we can get the best minds to deal with the challenges that we are facing in our country, we'll be a competitive country that will be in a position to take care of its residents. With your presence here, we are quite convinced that you'll add your voice, you'll add your ideas, but most importantly, you'll provide solutions that will propel us to higher heights. As we engage with you, we do so proud that you are too special, too kind, that we have sacrificed your time to come here to contribute to new ideas that will propel us to higher heights. As we engage with you, we are proud that we've got institutions of higher learning that must now reposition their programs to ensure that their programs respond to the challenges that we're facing in our country. As we engage with you, we are quite proud that we are also engaging with delegates that are also spread across the globe, who are also willing to provide either their experiences or also solutions that they think will assist all of us. As we engage with you, we do so knowing very well that we're engaging with people that have the interest not only of our continent, but of the globe at heart. People that are ready to provide answers, people that are ready to provide solutions, people that are ready to take us forward in a manner that will provide the necessary solutions to the challenges that we are facing. My task and mandate was just to welcome you. And I want to do that. Welcome you into a province where good things start here. And I'm glad because we're going to do good things. You've chosen to start here in Gauteng. I want to also welcome you to our country, a beautiful country indeed. So during your break or in the evening, please explore our province and explore our country and enjoy it. Even beyond the 3 days of this conference, especially those that are coming from the Philippines, please ensure that you remain behind in our country and enjoy our country. With that, ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome. And thank you so much for joining us.
We thank you, Honorable Premier, for the words of encouragement to let us continue providing answers. As we will continue asking questions, we will continue providing answers. This is now taking us to the next item on the agenda for today. The program of today is about scientific work. And you've heard the Premier touching on that. And I'm not gonna at all dilute the words that he had presented in welcoming you as guests, as well as encouraging us all to continue providing answers. We have amongst the guests here, a person that will be presenting an address, and this person is one of our visitors from outside the country, from outside the continent, and that is Dr. Aseli Rosario. She is coming all the way from the Philippines. I am not gonna give you a full background of who she is because of time constraints, but I promise that we will share her bio so that you can understand fully who exactly she is. And I will then hand over to our Dr. Aseli Rosaria to deal with the quality. In fact, what she's gonna be addressing is a title that says, Dealing with Quality in Indigenous Qualitative Research. And you've heard that we continue touching on indigenous lives of South Africa, and we will continue talking around these areas. As part of Ubuntu, as we welcome Dr. Aseli, I will also invite Professor Pavel, who also came from all the way from other country called Poland. Russia, I'm sorry, Russia. And he is going to be introducing Dr. Aseli in a very brief way so that you can have a sharing of that bio subsequent to him having shared who she is.
Thank you, everyone, for inviting us here to this wonderful research event. And we are honored to be among your midst here, and we are willing to share what we know and learn from you. This is a great moment of sharing and exchanging knowledge. Thank you for the warm reception that we have received in this place. And we are truly blessed to be in South Africa today and in this conference. I would like to introduce my good colleague and friend and mentor, Dr. Aseli Rosario, who was, we were working together in one school. She was a senior professor and also a chair of educational department. And I was on the other building in the seminary and learning about qualitative research. And she personally invested in me a lot of knowledge and expertise and her experience. So today, Dr. Aseli Rosario is the president of the Adventist University of the Philippines. She served as a high school principal, vice president for academic affairs, and college president. She has taught courses and conducted training in research, educational administration, and language teaching, published studies in leadership and teaching, and is a co-editor of the Sage Handbook of Qualitative Research in the Asian Context. She is one of the founders of the Asian Qualitative Research Association, or called ACRA, and is the incumbent president of the Adventist Human Research Subject Research Association in the Southern Asia Pacific Division. Today, Dr. Aseli will present a study that I was kind of also involved with, and thank you, Dr. Aseli, for inviting me to be a part of it. The title is Dealing with Quality in Indigenous Qualitative Research. I will not take time more, and she will present, and then we will entertain your questions. Please prepare your good questions. I will be moderating those Q&A sessions, so we will be happy to discuss after presentation. Without further ado, Dr. Aseli, the time is yours, and we are happy to listen to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nandi, and also Dr. Pavel. Our keynote presentation today is to be projected from there. There we go. That is dealing, I made some changes in the title, dealing with quality, conducting qualitative research with the indigenous people in Asia. It's my pleasure to be here and my great joy to meet my friends whom we have met face to face several times, and also my online friends. Thank you so much for this opportunity to come. It's not coming. Okay. This is where I am from. This is my university. It is called the Adventist University of the Philippines, in short, AUP. This is our main gate, and that is an open Bible that shows that we are a faith-based university. This is my office to the, where's now? I'm disoriented. Right. That's my office. And the other side, Professor Costa, Dr. Nandi, Dr. Nisi, and I think Dr. Gale visited my office there. And so they are not new to this place. I would like to say brief acknowledgements. Why I am here is a product of dedication of so many people and generosity of so many people, and also many factors coming together. I would like to thank the Global Center for Academic Research, South Africa, the World Conference on Qualitative Research in Portugal. This was the venue where the team from South Africa and our team from the Philippines met in 2018. And also, we are part of the Asian Qualitative Research Association, or ACRA, in the Philippines, and the South African delegation also attended. This one headed by Dr. Costa. And we are also part of the Women Leading Education Across Continents based in the United States. And our team also from South Africa was there, and also the Adventist Human Subject Research Association in the Asia chapter based also in the Philippines. And of course, I would like to acknowledge your presence. Our study this morning will be very meaningful because you are here. You have come, we have come from different places, 40 countries. And why have we come together? It is because of our love for research, our commitment to advance knowledge and make ourselves better, make the lives of our participants better, and the world a better place. Because of these, we are here together. And I want us to give ourselves a big, big hand, please. So again, let's go back to our topic, dealing with quality, conducting qualitative research with the indigenous people in Asia. I would like to acknowledge that Dr. Pavel Zubkov is my co-author in this study. And although Dr. Pavel is from Russia, I want to say that he is the one who helped me understand the Asian philosophical frameworks. That may sound very strange, but when we were writing this paper, I found out that I didn't know so much about the Asian philosophy. So we asked this question: who are considered indigenous? This is the definition in the literature. Due to the lack of a unified definition of what indigenous is, there are several indicators. Number one, that one way to define or to know who are the indigenous people is through self-identification. The group, the tribe, whatever that may be, will be the one to identify themselves as indigenous. The other one is there is a cultural difference from other people groups that is distinct. The other one is special relationship with their traditional territory, that this group of people occupy a certain piece of land which they call their own. And the other is an experience. These people has had an experience of subjugation and discrimination under a dominant cultural model. So in general, these are the indicators, but let's ask ourselves, how about in Asia? Because of my orientation as an Asian, I asked myself, so in Asia, how do we understand the word indigenous? And we will find out that we ourselves have different definitions. For example, from Indonesia, Indonesia is a nation which has no indigenous people, or that all Indonesians are equally indigenous. How about from Bangladesh? All Bangladeshis are indigenous who existed in that territory prior to British colonization. How about the Chinese? The Chinese people of all ethnic groups have lived on their own land for generations. We suffered invasion and occupation of the colonialists and foreign aggressors. Fortunately, we drove away those colonialists and aggressors. In China, there are no indigenous people. So we are divided in our understanding in our definition. But one common definition is in Asia, we do not have a distinct divide who is indigenous and who is not. It's either we all call ourselves indigenous or we all call ourselves not indigenous. But the fact is, did Asia experience subjugation? Yes, we did. I think almost all of us. The Philippines was colonized by several colonizers. Do we have a land that we can call our own, really our own, meaning our people, our ancestors were there and they called that place our own? Yes, that's our land. That's not somebody else's land, that's our land. Do we have cultural differences? Yes, we are distinct. In fact, you see, even by my face, even by myself not talking, you will know that I'm coming from Asia, right? Yeah. You will know that I'm from Asia. And shame on me because Pavel, will you please stand again? Pavel is wearing the traditional Filipino dress. So this morning, yes, give him a hand, please. So he is a Filipino Russian or a Russian Filipino. And I think that was last night or early this morning, he said, did you bring a traditional Filipino dress? And he said, oh no, I did not bring. He said, I brought with me Barong Tagalog. This one is called Barong Tagalog. This is the traditional attire for men. I should have worn mine. Nandi, did you see me wearing? No, shame on me again. So, you see, I'm not very patriotic, just trying. But you see, even by the way I look, the way I speak, the way I relate to you, I am Asian through and through. And that is because of my cultural orientation. So I am indigenous from Asia. Yes. So now we are asking ourselves, so how do we conduct research with indigenous people? If you come to Asia, there's no distinction. You can come to my country, study one village. Those people are indigenous. You do not have even to worry. Are they indigenous or not? According to the definition, we are indigenous. Although sometimes we may say, okay, we are modern thinking, but the truth is we own the land, we have our own culture, we experience subjugation. Now, how do we ensure that we observe, we address the questions or concerns on quality when we conduct qualitative research? Do you know, my dear colleagues, that qualitative research is oftentimes challenged? Why challenged? Because even in our academic circles, even in the Philippines, there are universities that do not honor qualitative research as a dissertation or as a thesis. They accept only quantitative or mixed methods. So there is still that question, prevailing question. Is qualitative research credible? Is it dependable? You see, questions like this one, questions that we ask about quality. So, according to Lincoln and Goba, there are 4 elements or criteria when we talk about quality. These are credibility, dependability, transferability, and confirmability. Credibility is the study believable? Does it capture the reality out there? Yeah, so we want to capture the reality. We want to capture the truth. That's why we want our research to be credible, right? Also, dependable. Uh, are the methodologies used acceptable, well established? Another is, are the findings transferable? By the way, we do not ask, are the findings generalizable? That's for a quantitative study. But for a qualitative research, transferable, meaning given the same context, given the same phenomenon, given the same profile of the participants, are the findings also applicable to other research settings? And of course, confirmability, that is about, does the research express the preferences, the ideas, the realities of the participants? So when we conduct qualitative research, we want to ensure that we have met, these criteria. I want to share with you, there are several principles, but in the interest of time, we will study only 5. Uh, Dr. Nandi, I can remove this one, right? Okay. We will study 5 principles of conducting qualitative research with indigenous people and how these principles look like in the Asian context. What are these principles? These are the 5 R's. Can we read this together? Relationships, respect, reflexivity, relevance, and reciprocity. Let's begin with relationships. Asians are relational and communal. Does that resonate with you as well? Oh, we are relational. When we have, when we meet somebody, we do not want to meet that meeting, to make that meeting as something fleeting. We want to make it last for a lifetime. That's what we do. So we are very relational. And I noticed that even with our online friends who view the Asian Qualitative Research Association Colloquia series. It's online. The platform is online. But it's like we are friends forever. In my country, we have the term BFF. You say, Dr. Nandi, you're given 2 acronyms in the Philippines too. So we have BFF. Do you know the meaning of BFF? Best friends forever. Yeah. So we are very relational and communal. So here, there were 2 well-known researchers in Asia. In fact, they were like among the first ones who conducted qualitative research in Asia. One is Srinivas. He was an Indian. and he conducted research in Asia, particularly in India. The other one is Geertz. He is Western, but he conducted research in Indonesia. Let us listen to their accounts. From Srinivas, he was, by the way, educated in India, but he had post-graduate studies in England, and he came back and studied the culture of the people, and this was what he wrote. I was a poor photographer, but I made up my lack of skill by my enthusiasm and willingness to snap everything I saw. A small percentage of my photographs were, however, successful, and I proudly show them around. Generally, the villagers loved being photographed, and the examination of the prints provoked much laughter and comment. Somebody had spread the myth that the photographs would be shown abroad, and this added to the pleasure of being photographed. In short, the camera became a passport to every place. The camera enabled me even to cross barriers imposed by my bachelorhood. Some months after I moved into the village, wealthy landowners invited me to take pictures of their wives, daughters, and daughters-in-law. So you see, this is an example how a researcher made way into the hearts of the people. Because in Asia, you do not simply go there and say, uh, we call there, for the chieftain, we call dato. You do not just say, dato, good morning, I want to conduct a study here. Can I start today? No, you do not do that. You have to make friends with the people. So here is an example how this researcher won the hearts of the people so that he was able to get credible data, quality data. All right. Another example is the account of Geertz. This was his experience when he went to Bali, Indonesia. He and his wife went to Bali, Indonesia. As we wandered around, uncertain, wistful, eager to please, people seemed to look right through us with a gaze focused on several yards behind us on some more actual stone or tree. Almost nobody greeted us, but nobody scolded or said anything unpleasant to us either. The indifference was studied. The villagers were watching every move we made, and they had an enormous amount of quite accurate information about who we were and what we were going to be doing. But they acted as if we simply did not exist. Last night, uh, we had dinner with some friends, Filipino friends, who have been staying here in South Africa. And they mentioned to me a name, South African term, I think, but I have forgotten now. But the term they said is, I see you. You are visible to me. Anyone who knows the term? Sawona. Sawona, yes, that's the word. I see you. You are visible to me. In this case, the people were not seeing them. It's like they did not exist. See? When you first meet a Balinese, he seems virtually not to relate to you at all. Then, in a day, a week, a month, with some people, the magic moment never comes. He decides that you are real, though you are not exactly taken as, that's covered, right? That part is covered. One has to be born to that, or you are at least regarded as a person as a person, being rather than a cloud or a gust of wind. My wife and I were still very much in the gust of wind stage when, 10 days or so after our arrival, a large cockfight was held in the public square. Cockfights are illegal in Bali. As a result, the fights are usually held in the secluded corner of a village in semi-secrecy. In this case, however, perhaps because they were raising money for a school, they thought they could take a chance on the central square and draw a larger and more enthusiastic crowd. They were wrong. In the midst of the third match, with hundreds of people, including myself and my wife, fused into a single body around the ring, a track full of policemen armed with machine guns rolled up. People raced down the road, disappeared headfirst over walls, scrambled under platforms, scattered up coconut trees. My wife and I ran down the main village street. About halfway, another fugitive ducked suddenly into a compound, his own, it turned out, and we, seeing nothing ahead of us but rice fields, open country, and a very high volcano, followed him. As the three of us came tumbling into the courtyard, his wife whipped out a tablecloth, three chairs, and three cups of tea, and we all sat down, commenced to sip tea. A few moments later, one of the policemen marched importantly into the yard. Seeing my wife and I, the policeman asked, "What in the devil did we think we were doing there?" Our host leaped instantly to our defense, producing an impassioned description of who and what we are. We had a perfect right to be there, he said. We were American professors. The government had cleared us. We were there to study culture. We were going to write a book to tell Americans about Bali. The policeman retreated in rather total disarray. The next morning, the village was a completely different world for us. Not only were we no longer invisible, we were suddenly the center of all attention, the object of great outpouring of warmth, interest, and most especially amusement. Everyone in the village knew we had fled like everyone else. Okay? So that's what you do when you go to Asia. And I think even when you come here to South Africa, right? You do not pretend like you are superior, like you are a professor, the knower above all, know it all. Because we in Asia, as you are here in South Africa, and in other indigenous cultures, we know something, right? And confidently, we can say we know everything. Correct? Yes, because we are the indigenous people. So you researchers, you should be warned that you make friends with us and you should exercise intellectual humility. You know why? For all you know, we are more knowledgeable than you are. Okay? So first, relationships is very important. All right? Now, the next is respect. We in Asia, we want others to value our worldview and core beliefs, to show us kindness and courtesy. So do not come puffing because you come from one foreign land we have not heard of. And to be willing to develop long-term relationships with us. So now, let us begin with this study about heightening one's philosophical grounding. As I told you, this was a part I really struggled with. Until I wrote this paper with Dr. Pavel, I did not know that I did not know about Asian philosophy. So it was Dr. Pavel who told me, educated me, that for in Asia, ontology means the interconnectedness of all things. So what is the implication to that? It means to say that researchers should view the study phenomenon in a larger social and cultural context. For example, some of you may be interested to know why some of us in Asia are poor. Maybe that's a phenomenon to you. Why are these people poor? But before you even judge us why we are poor, you should look into our social and cultural context. For all you know, we are happy being poor. We are content being poor. It's not a problem at all to us. Have you realized that? Yes. Some people may look at that as a big problem. These people in Asia are poor. In particularly in the Philippines, they are poor. They eat only once a day. But you do not know. It's a joyful existence. Yes. Okay. So the interconnectedness of the spiritual and the material world may result in some taboos for the participants to discuss. The importance of tradition and respect for authority figures and emphasis on collective goals. By the way, maybe you have heard that the Philippines experiences typhoons, right? Maybe you have seen that in the news that we have really bad typhoons. So I was teaching in Dr. Pavel and I were together. It's an international graduate school. So we had masters and doctoral students only. And one time there was really a big typhoon. And we had class. And one of my students from the West said, Prof, why is it that the people on TV, they were climbing up the rooftops of the houses? Why were they smiling? I said, Dr. Pavel, have you noticed that? People are smiling, even they are already at the rooftop because of the water, is rising. And I said, I really don't know. It's just because it's so natural for us to smile, especially when there's a camera. Yeah, you don't smile when there's camera. Oh, for us, even when we are floating amidst of a flood, when the photographers say, okay, ready, we don't do that. But when we see people snapping pictures, we smile and we do like, that. That's who we are. We are a happy people. So you get to know our way of thinking before you come and conduct study with us. And I want to emphasize respect for authority figures. So when you come, do not call us by our first name. So I'm Arceli. You do not say, Arceli, I want to conduct study in your village. You say, Lola. You know this Lola? Lola, I'll teach you, okay? So you can call me Lola Arceli. Lola means Grandma Arceli. That is respect. Then I will allow you to conduct study in my village. Respect for authority figures. That's very important to us, okay? All right. Next, epistemology. How do you gain knowledge? How do you access to knowledge when you come to my people? You have to, in order to gain knowledge, one needs to demonstrate moral responsibility and humanism. In Asia, it's very common. We have many folk stories that tell us that only the good people are rewarded with truth. The arrogant, the proud, the wicked, they do not get truth. They do not have access to truth. So it's very important to understand, ask yourselves, what is really my motive? Why do I want to study and conduct research to this group of people? Another is Asians' desire for harmony. We want harmony. We do not want the harmony, the unity among us broken. So that may come in tension with the need to express for truth. And also, we do not want conflict. And I like, it was Dr. Pavel who got this one. I like this. This is powerful. So we say, action can be achieved by inaction where the result is achieved by not me. So action can be achieved by inaction, right? And I think there are some people also who believe in this one. So in the Philippines, we have a saying by our hero that the pen is mightier than the sword. Axology, notions of good and bad, right and wrong, beautiful and ugly. And in qualitative research, because of our deep interaction with our participants and our value-laden social exchange, may lead to judgmental feelings and ethical conflict. And there is also this impact of collectivism. We are a collectivist society. We are communal, as I said. So what one does may affect the others and may affect that the society in an adverse way, and we do not want that one to happen. Another one is gender roles and high power distance. Methodology for Asia. It is important that we follow correct methodologies to come up with truth. And we still struggle with this one. That's why we are very intentional in equipping and empowering our qualitative researchers, because we want them to do it right. Okay, this leads us to the next one, and that is reflexivity. What is that? It means being transparent and accountable to the readers and hearers of our study by clarifying who we are. And in the introduction of Professor Costa, he mentioned that several times, the need to know who we are. And let me begin by saying this one, relating to you a story, which an incident which happened when I conducted my thesis. Okay, let me read. For my thesis, I decided to retrieve and record the oral literature of my mother's home place. I asked my mom to come with me. For her, it would be the first time to visit since she left 34 years ago. For me, it would be the first time to see the place. But when we arrived, we got a warm welcome from almost everywhere, even from the municipal hall where I secured the permit to gather data. I could speak my mother's language fluently, although every now and then I would be laughed at and told your accent is adulterated. Even then, I felt accepted. I loved the food that they served. I ate the way they ate. I could follow some of the songs that they sang, and I could recite some of their jousts. They were happy that I behaved like I was homegrown. I felt like an insider. They treated me like an insider. Old and young volunteered to share with me their stories, their songs, and their joust. By the way, I was doing retrieval of oral literature. The sharing happened in various settings, while shelling corn from early to late evenings, during the wake of a dead person, by the side of the rice paddies and under shady trees. There was one incident, however, where I discovered how quickly, like in a fleet of a moment, a researcher could transition from being an insider to an outsider. For me, it was not my conscious doing, nor of the people around me. In hindsight, I realized it was about who they were and who I was, that there was a part of me that did not fit perfectly. I was joining a group of village folks that was going house to house with a carved image of a patron saint. The group offered songs and prayers to each house. I tried to stay at the back, firstly because I did not know how to say the prayers and how to sing the songs, and secondly because of my religious orientation. Several of the young girls pulled me in, showed me the prayer book and the song book, and encouraged me to participate. They tried to embrace me within their circle, but I felt like a fake. I was not sure if they sensed the divide between us, but for me, I felt like I was on the other side of a big, wide gulf. That night, I lay awake for a long time and asked myself several questions: who I was, why I was there, how I could be who I was and still be true to what I was doing. I did not find all the answers, but in the morning, I had peace. I resolved to be respectful to others for who they were and also to honor who I was. In spite of that incident, I considered myself an insider. Being one, I was able to easily gain access to the village, into my participants' homes, and into their hearts. I gathered a rich collection of the village oral literature, but my greatest takeaway was that I gained a better understanding of who I was and a deeper appreciation of my heritage. This heightened understanding and appreciation, I realized, came about because in the process of data collection and analysis, there were times I stepped back and took an outsider's role to reflect, to ask questions, to engage in intentional wanderings, and to attempt to find answers. And I want to say, my beloved fellow researchers, that as Dr. Nandi said, we are here to ask questions and find answers. But do not be frustrated. There are times when we cannot find answers immediately. Sometimes the answer may seem elusive and it comes very slowly. So the question, my dear friends, is who am I? Do you know the answer to this question? Who are you? It took me a long time to find that answer. There was this one incident that I was traveling by plane, and there was this young guy, not really young, about 40 something, sat beside me and started asking me questions. And then uh, he raised a question. He said, "Do you support this issue?" There was this very sensitive, critical issue. And I said, "Oh, I don't." And he became so upset that he raised his voice. Remember, we were in a plane. And he said, "How come you're a professor?" I did not tell him I'm a professor. I did not tell him that. But maybe he inferred because I said I was teaching in a graduate school. He said, "How come you're a professor, but your brain," he illustrated my brain, "your brain is like this." I looked at the space between his, really, my brain was very small. And I said, "You see, I'm a Christian. Everything that I think, I believe, I do, I say is informed by my faith and by the Bible." And he looked at me and said, "Ah, he said like that. I see. I see." It's like there was a great awakening in his mind. It's like, now I know you. Why is it difficult for us to make people understand who we are? Because sometimes we do not know who we are. Yeah? Did it come to you easily? I know it's difficult. I asked my students, "You write your reflexivity statement," and they stare in the ceiling, they stare on the wall, and they looked at me very intently as if I'm the culprit. They do not know who they are. "It's very difficult," they say. I say, "Yes, it's very difficult to know who we are. But When you know your beginnings, when you know what you believe in, then slowly, you will understand who you are. So I am disclosing to you now, after some years of asking myself who I am, this is my answer. This is not perfect. I may revise it in the coming years, but this is what I say. I am an Asian. I belong to a region of diverse people. I perceive ourselves as free loving yet colonized, already free yet still shackled, rich yet poor. Can you relate to this? Yeah, we are rich yet behaving as if we are poor. Wise yet not appreciating our unique wisdom. Distinct yet not fully embracing our identity. I am a Filipino. I am deeply patriotic, but I do not wear my barong, my traditional dress. I am always moved by the suffering of my people. When I see prosperity in other countries, like in South Africa, I looked over the down through the window of the plane and said, wow, what has gone wrong in my country? How can it be corrected? How can my people live better lives? What can I do? So there are times I cannot sleep. I am a woman. I champion women's liberation, and my husband is the greater champion among us two. Yeah. I believe that women should live in an environment where they are respected and valued, where they can grow and actualize their God given gifts, where they can impact positive change without the shackles of discrimination and oppression, where they should not be apologetic that they are women. But when they introduce themselves, I am a woman, they say like that. Do you remember Maya Angelou? Yeah. The phenomenal woman, right? Where they can freely exercise the gifts of womanhood. I am a Christian. My thoughts, my feelings, my speech, my actions, and my decisions are informed by my faith, which is anchored on the Bible and my experience with God. That's who I am. And this has come like birthing a breech child. You have a child, Nandi? 5. Very difficult, right? That's how you give birth to this understanding of who we are. But that's one element in conducting, in dealing with quality, in conducting qualitative research. The next principle is relevance. What does relevance mean when we conduct qualitative research? It means, Nandi, until what time? 15 minutes. Okay. I study phenomena that are meaningful to my participants, not just to me. Do you do as well? I study this because I have some kind, this phenomenon is important to me. But how about to your participants? Is your study relevant to your participant as well? I do not gather data that is not needed in my research study. You see, in qualitative research, some of my participants, especially when you go to Asia, we are very willing to share our stories. And so my dissertation advices, they have lots of pages. And then when we look, which of this data you do not use? And then this one X, this one X. I said, why did you encourage your participant to tell these stories not related to your study? Ma'am, but they like to tell the story. They do not want to stop. That's why if you like to study qualitative research, you come to Asia, you will not have a problem. People will talk and talk and talk, and they will say, you need some more? You need some more? And in fact, they will say, you need more participants? And then they call their neighbors. Yes, Asia is a nice place to study qualitative research, but observe relevance. I use data collection methods that are relevant to my participants, methods that enable them to share their realities. One time there was this researcher, he came to me and said, he was doing qualitative research. He said, what are the components of integration of faith and learning? I said, I don't know. You go to the books. You don't know? Yes, I do not know. Ask me instead, what do you do in your class to integrate faith and learning? But ma'am, these are my interview questions. I said, you change your interview questions because I cannot answer your interview questions. What kind of interview question is that? What are the components of quality of integration of faith and learning? I do not know the components. The books will help you answer that one. Ask your participants their experiences instead about the phenomenon. Okay? And in Asia, how do we share our experiences? We tell stories. Very long. So I've experienced number 1, experience number 2, experience number 3. And if you still want more, we can go on and on. And we do not mind the time. We do not mind the time. Because to Asians, time is relational. If we do not like you, 5 minutes is very long. But if we like you, 5 hours is nothing. You understand that? Can you relate to that? Because we are indigenous and we share some of these characteristics. So storytelling, ceremonies and rituals. Bring your you join the ceremonies and the rituals. You participate. Okay? And you participate in their daily lives. So I told you when I was gathering oral literature, my participants were telling me, my fingers bled shelling corn. We do that by hand in my country. I don't know now, maybe the farmers had some kind. But during those days in the 1990s when I did we were doing by hand. So I joined them, okay? Now, here, one way when you are collecting data from indigenous people is through arts. And here, my colleagues and I did a study. Still a teen, already a mother. This is on teen motherhood. And we asked our participants to take pictures. Pictures that symbolize their lives. So they were able to tell us their stories through pictures. Okay? And then the next one, this is the last one, reciprocity. We Asians love to share what we have. What is ours is yours. Do you like that? That's who we are. How about you? Are you willing to give back? Giving back is a word in Asia. Give back. We have a word in Asia we call utang kabubuton, meaning debt of gratitude. We do not want money for that. Not money. You cannot pay that with money. You pay that with lifelong kindness. Not only to me, but to my children and to my grandchildren. Yes. Do you have that kind of culture as well? Yeah. We show you kindness, and that kindness you give back in return will be forever. And so, I challenge you, my dear colleagues, look at research as a means to empower other people. This is a gift that you can give. As a researcher, you are not here to conduct research, to present in research conferences, and to publish, but you are here to empower. I'll tell you a story. My colleagues and I conducted a photo voice study on teen motherhood in one of the towns in the Philippines where this phenomenon was still viewed with stigma. We coordinated with the Rural Health Unit to identify the participants. For our data collection, we collected photos, met with our participants individually, held small group meetings, conducted observation, and staged a photo exhibit. During the photo exhibit, which we held at the municipal hall, we invited the participants and their family members, the community leaders and members. As one of our participants walked toward the venue, one of our research team members called my attention. Look, she walks like a queen. That is empowerment. We are changing lives. So a good research is one that transforms the researchers and the participants into better people and this world a better place. When you conduct research among the Asian people, follow these 5 principles of relationships: respect, reflexivity, relevance, and reciprocity. And remember how these principles look like to us Asians, and perhaps to you too, those of you who share our context and our identity. So our reflections and conclusions, 3 minutes. Qualitative research has experienced significant growth in the Asian region in the past few decades. Qualitative researchers in Asia, in collaboration with other researchers and scholars in other parts of the world, have formed qualitative research communities that, and Dr. Nandi called that family, which is even a better word, that have provided platforms for training, conversations, and generous exchange of knowledge and skills. The qualitative research approach fits well in the Asian culture and worldview. Anchoring qualitative research done in Asia on Asian philosophical framework enhances quality and rigor. Researchers' philosophical grounding will guide them to choose and or develop culturally sensitive theoretical and ethical frameworks and data collection and data analysis methods. Understanding Asian views on the interconnectedness and wholeness of reality, the importance of harmony, the unity of good and bad, will lead the researchers to authentic data and clear understanding of phenomena. So this is all, my dear colleagues, and I hope that we have gained some kind of understanding on what qualitative research is, why we do it, and how we can even do it better.
I learned fast, I can say, Maraming Salamat Lola.
Thank you.
You want to explain to them what that means?
I like, yes. Thank you very much, Grandma. I'm not offended because I am a beautiful grandma.
We are going to allow the moderator to moderate this session. That will be Professor Pavel, and I'll give over to him.
Thank you, Dr. Arceli, for presenting and especially sharing stories. You know, qualitative research is about sharing stories, and as you mentioned, and we heard your experiences, and I can relate to those experiences. As being in Asia for more than 11 years, I can relate to that. I would like to ask you first question while the audience is thinking on their own questions. Please think, and you can ask. We have around 15 minutes for this Q&A session. I'd like to ask you, Dr. Celia, as we discuss this philosophical frameworks that are different in different contexts, we can view the reality, but from different angles. We have the same phenomena, but the outcomes may be very different. So my question is, the first question is, why is it so that the philosophical views can really affect the results? Does it mean that qualitative research is not, we understand that it is more subjective, but the question is, it's about credibility, because we are talking about credibility and quality, yes. To what extent our background, our self-reflexivity interacts and, let's say, interferes with the outcomes of the study, and how can we control it, and how we can ensure quality once again.
Let me cite an example, and this is how philosophical framework or frameworks impact the way we ask our research questions. Let me give that as first example. For example, you are studying about teen motherhood. And you are using the transformative philosophical framework that is with the goal of making positive changes in the person, empowering the person. The other philosophical framework is critical lens. Uh, Critical lens is used when we want to say that there is something wrong with society, especially with leadership, like what is society doing? What are government leaders doing about this phenomenon? So, if you are using we will sit down. Okay. So, but okay, they can see us. All right. So, that's part of my being Asian, you know? Yeah, I'm very, without thinking, I'm very Asian. Like, I care so much. Am I making a connection? Yeah, and yeah, but you are already Asianized. so, so Pavel, I'm saying, if you, if we are using the transformative framework, I will use phenomenological study. Why? Because that is a design that is very personal. And the question there is the central question to a phenomenological study is what is it like to be a teen mother, especially in the context where teen motherhood carries stigma, like some parts of the Philippines. So, what is it like to be a teen mother? So I will use phenomenology because I want to empower this young woman who is a single parent and suffering from stigma. Yes. So that's the design. And that's the research question. The other one is if I use the critical philosophical lens, I will use case study. And my research question will be what programs does the government employ to support teen mothers? And what is the impact of these programs to teen mothers? So you see, with the change of uh, a philosophical framework, I mean, that the philosophical framework uh, influences our choice of the design and our research question.
Thank you. Just getting a little bit more deeper, when we look at the phenomenon, we can use different philosophical lens, true, but still we have our own beliefs, our own attitudes, our own values. Did you find something conflicting within yourself when you were studying this phenomenon as a Christian?
Yes, wow, that's a very nice study because something comes up to mind now. So we were doing this teen motherhood study. You see, I am a very conservative Christian. And we were doing, uh, we asked our participants to submit their pictures because we were using photo voice. And so the interpretation and the picture and what we had in our mind were not aligned. So we went to the participant to have a one-on-one because there were times we did small group meetings where they had to show their pictures, interpret together. So we asked her, uh, when you learned that you were pregnant, what did you feel? And she said, happy. You see, her answer did not match my answer in my mind because you see, I'm a researcher and I'm smart. I also have the answer also in my head.
Correct.
And the answer and my answer did not match. And I felt superior because I'm old and experienced and professor. So I said, her answer is wrong. So I asked another question. How about your partner? What did he feel? And she said, happy. So it's like strike two. I said, this lady does not know how to answer. Her answers are wrong. So I asked the third question. How about your parents? Then this time she will know the answer. But she said, happy also. And I did something that was really, I'm not proud of. I probed some more to the point of, you see, my thinking is about the church, how does, so I said, did the pastor visit you? How did he counsel you? You know these things? Then I realized, oh no, I'm asking the wrong questions. So I stopped the interview and I said, thank you very much. We will stop for now. We may come back later, but thank you very much. So there were three of us. When we were marching back to our hotel, they were saying, Ma'am, why did you stop the interview? It was so exciting. I said, these people do not know. I was thinking about it. I'll give you a whipping when we get to the hotel. And so when we got there, said, Mom, why did you stop? It was going very well. I said, did you realize that I made a mistake? No, Mom, you were fine. You were asking good questions. I said, nah, I was not asking the wrong. I was asking the wrong questions because you see, as researchers, we did not honor the answer of our participant because it should not be our reality. It should be the reality of our participant. It was an embarrassing moment for me, but I thank God for bringing to my attention that I was asking the wrong question and that my attitude was wrong. At the time, I realized, you know why we are doing this wrong? It's because from the beginning of the study, we did not sit down and answer the hard questions like, who are we? What's our idea? Or what do we think about teen motherhood? Do we support it? Are we against it? And so the time, it took us like 2 hours. We searched our hearts and we found out we were against teen motherhood, meaning we do not support it. We do not want it to happen. But we were all teachers. As teachers, we value the dignity of every young person. And we believe that every young person can have a bright future. So that's our reason why we were conducting that teen motherhood study.
It's very interesting. That means just attaining equality is a struggle. It's a process.
Mhm.
It's not just like programming yourself to
Yeah.
be on the side of the participant. It's getting to realize it, to ask questions, to reflect with others, with the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of openness that you are not the only one who has the truth.
Yes.
Now, why would I argue with my participant if really it happened? If really that was the reaction. Yes, why should I disagree with him or with her? And besides, if I really want to find the truth, I should not I should not insult her by my questioning. Especially in Asia, saving face is
Yes.
very important. There is do you realize this one, Pavel? The
Yeah.
shame.
Yeah.
You do not hiya. We call this one hiya. You do not put somebody to shame. You have to save face. That's very important to the Asian culture. So you have other ways of finding. Triangulation is one, right? So we had other data collection methods. So we had photos, we had these interviews, and We had observation also. So I should not have put my participant, in that very, I would say, uncomfortable situation.
Thank you so much for this engaging discussion. Now we are ready to open the floor. We have around 7 minutes more. If somebody wants to ask question, you may raise your hand. There's a hand at the back. Please,
Dr. King also.
oh, yes, Dr. King, you'll be the second, sorry. We have the first hand there. Okay. Do we have a mic? Yes, we have there. Thank you.
Thank you. And good morning. Thank you so much, Prof, for this important presentation, which is very much eye-opening. I have a question here. I've been listening. You, most recently now, you spoke about relevance, and you spoke about asking the right questions. I have a question that I always hear, a question on piloting your data collection instrument in qualitative research. And now I'm asking myself, the relevance and the right question. Now, if I pilot this question to these 4 or 5 people, and then I go back to say they are right. Now, how do I now bring in the right question to the right participant to be relevant to the experience of this person who is not the same as the person I piloted my instrument to? I hope my question is clear. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is about, and you brought out a very important concept, which sometimes we qualitative researchers miss, Pavel, and that is piloting
Yes.
our interview guide. Thank you. Because sometimes we formulate our interview guide, then immediately we conduct the interview. But here is this concept. We validate our instrument, our interview guide, and we do the pilot. How do we do the pilot? Just like in Quanti, right? We choose participants, we choose people who share the characteristics of our participants. Now, the question is that you conducted pilot. And then when you conducted your actual study, you are saying that their answers are not the same. Okay, I'll give you an example. There's an example. You have 10 participants. It's about retirement. 9 say, now I'm feeling hopeless, useless. These people around me, they don't honor me anymore. They don't even say good morning anymore because I am retired. But 1 of the 10 says, retirement, it's the best time of my life. I can now play tennis. I will go mountain climbing. I go scuba diving. I will travel around the world. So what do you say now? You see, in qualitative research, there is what we call negative case analysis. This is in quantity outlier. Outlier.
Disqualify.
What do we do? Because this can happen, right? This can happen. One thing we can do is we will add more participants. But what if we added 5? Same. The 5 said, useless, hopeless. Now you cannot find even 1 more who has that same kind of experience. So what we do is we present our data. We say 14, because you added 5, 14 of my participants say this, hopeless, useless, but 1 says this is the best moment of her life. And then you explain and provide alternative theories to explain. Ma'am, is that okay? Okay, thank you so much.
Dr. Costa.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seli, for a great presentation. I actually like the oral literature because with oral literature, it's going to really help to emulate the work of Plato in popularizing our unsung heroes who shaped us, particularly because of the challenge we have from you in the Philippines of qualitative research in the African context. But my question again is, to what extent could does the concept of being indigenous, and I like to pronounce it indigenous, to what extent does it find definition from the concept of subjugation with connotations of colonialism? Thank you.
Doctor, the question is, uh, yes, indigenous with that element of subjugation and discrimination, because that's one indicator that you are an indigenous. I'm just thinking, Dr. Prof, on top of my head now, like how qualitative research, you may ask a follow-up question if I don't hit this one, but I'm just thinking now, why qualitative research really is a fit design for indigenous people. And that is because, as I mentioned, research should be empowering. It is in this context that we liberate people. When people tell their realities, even though we do not have solutions, because conversation through questioning, exchange, social constructivism, when we discuss about our realities, we may not have perfect answers, but the process in itself is liberating.
Thank you so much. What I'm getting at in definition of a people of a particular region. Right now, we are in Africa. Could we find, in other words, the concept of indigenous, is it inherent to explain that there was a prior domination? Or can we be indigenous without having a connotation of being colonized or subjugated by other dominant powers? Because if that could be, that would also affect some of the work that we are doing while we are trying to understand who we are in terms of qualitative research. The people in the Aborigines, could it mean that they are called Aborigines because they were dominated, or they actually are Aborigines who were dominated later, but they still continue to remain? Are we Africans because we were colonized, or are we Africans because we have been Africans and colonization came, which is subjugation? And then can we still be Africans without necessarily being? In other words, the definition, does it need to have subjugation as an element? Thank you.
Yeah, I think in my reading, all these elements do not have to be there. In fact, the main idea is self-identification. You may not have undergone all these elements. You mentioned about aborigines, original peoples, in their territories. They were not moved. They did not experience subjugation. And if they may identify themselves as indigenous. Yes. And still these principles are relevant because you see, in my experience, there are some cultural groups that have not developed pride in their cultural identity. But once we bring this cultural identity to the fore and appreciate them, how do we appreciate? We present to the world, there is this is who they are, and we have to respect them. I think that is important and that empowers our cultural groups, even if they have not experienced subjugation? Mhm.
Yeah, this is a very good question. Thank you. And I'm thinking that sometimes it's very confusing when it comes to national identity. Who am I? Uh, my my parents, my grandparents were half Ukrainians, half Russians. Who am I, Ukrainian or Russian? Sometimes it's very confusing, but that's okay. We are qualitative researchers. We give attention to who we are, and as Dr. Seli already mentioned, it takes time to reflect who we are.
Yeah, and that understanding evolves.
Yes,
And
yes.
it is deepened, our understanding of who we are is deepened by conversation.
Yes, yes. Okay, one more question. Maybe it's already 15 minutes. I think we have no more time for questions, but thank you very much for engage yourself with this inquiry, with this presentation. We thank you once again, Dr. Seli, for your excellent presentation. And as we can see, we are already involved in self-reflection here. Thank you so much.
I tried my bit to speak Filipino. I'm not gonna try again so that I keep the space for others to learn. Thank you very much. It's now time for us to have a tea break. The tea break is meant to be for 25 minutes. And I think you're gonna think that as an accountant and auditor, I can't count, but believe me, I can. The last 5 minutes, I'm trying to subtract from the 30 minutes for us to be able to move on to the breakaway rooms. You will notice that when you walk out of this plenary, there are various rooms that are across in an area marked as domestic. This side is international, that side is domestic. So when you go across to domestic, you will notice that there are various breakaway rooms. But in terms of the program, we are not using names as they are labeled. We use groupings like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, and so forth. But when you get there, you will see which breakaway room is marked 1A, even if it has got the local name of the hotel. And therefore, please take note of that because we are not coming back here after tea. We go to the various breakaway rooms and there are chairs as in chairpersons in those breakaway rooms, and they will provide you with guidance as to how the proceedings will take place and the necessary forms that you will complete when you get into those rooms. The appeal on my side will be, we have to go straight for lunch from those breakaway rooms from 11:15 to 1300 hours is what we are doing in the breakaway rooms. And from there, once we are done, we will then have lunch at 1. And the lunch is for 1.5 hours. The provision is that in case we need to be transported and other people maybe are a bit unfit, we do have time to walk to where lunch is. You will definitely be directed even during the time you are in the breakaway rooms. And there are also usherers outside that are gonna lead you to where lunch is gonna be served. So that 1 hour, 30 minutes is from 1 o'clock to 14:30. And we will make it a point that in the various breakaway rooms, you are kept posted of anything that you may require to do. And if we may please keep time because our international partners, wherever they are following our program. Remember, this is held here as well as in Portugal, as well as online. So that's why we have to keep to time. Thank you very much. You may now go for the tea break and keep time. Thank you.